In the late afternoon heat, a man stood alone at the glass doors of the clinic. His hands trembled around a crumpled folder of reports, the kind no one ever wants to carry. Behind the glass, a receptionist stared at him with cold impatience. Outside, traffic hummed, unaware that a quiet battle was unfolding on a small patch of sidewalk. His name was Arif, 43, a mechanic, a father, and lately, a cancer patient who had learned to breathe through pain the same way he breathed through dusty workshops, slowly, without complaint. But today, even his calm was cracking. "Sir, I already told you," the receptionist said without looking up. "Your insurance is not accepted here. And we don't do charity cases." Arif swallowed the words rising in his throat. He had walked 2 kilometers when the bus broke down, clutching his hope like oxygen. But inside this clinic, hope felt like a luxury he couldn't afford. Before I tell you what happened next, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Kindness Valley. And tell me where you're watching from. He stood motionless, the way a person stands when they are too tired to argue. The sunlight behind him cast a long shadow on the clean marble floor. A security guard approached, slow and irritated. "Bye, you need to leave," the guard muttered. "You're blocking the entrance." Arif opened the folder one more time, as if the papers inside might suddenly defend him. Scans, medical summaries. A referral note. Nothing more, nothing less. But to the clinic, he was just another burden. He whispered, "Please. They told me this is the only place that can start my treatment on time." The receptionist finally looked at him, not with kindness, but with annoyance sharpened by routine. She lowered her glasses and said, "Look at you. You think you can afford this? Go to a government hospital. Don't make trouble." It was not the words that hurt him most. It was the tone, dismissive, effortless, practiced. Behind him, someone cleared their throat. Engines rumbled outside, low and synchronized like thunder rolling across the earth. The guard glanced over Arif's shoulder with surprise. Several motorcycles pulled up. Heavy frames, worn leather jackets, boots coated with dust from long roads. A small biker group, locals, known for charity rides and food drives, sometimes loud, often misunderstood, but never unkind. They had noticed Arif earlier on the road, limping, clutching his folder, and had slowed down out of instinct. When they saw him pushed aside at the entrance, they turned back. The man in front, Hussein, walked in first, tall, steady, the kind of person whose silence carried more weight than any shout. His jacket bore patches from charity rides, flood relief missions, and food drives. Behind him, 4 others stepped in, forming a quiet half-circle around Arif. Not threatening, but protective. The clinic's waiting room stiffened, eyes widened. A nurse stood in the doorway, frozen halfway through a step. Hussein spoke softly, not to the staff, but to Arif. "Bye, what's the issue?" Arif hesitated, embarrassed to repeat what had happened. His voice cracked. "They won't take me. They said I can't pay." There was a long silence, the kind that exposes cruelty more than any argument. The receptionist straightened her posture, almost defensive. "This is a private facility. We have rules." Hussein turned his head slightly. "And do your rules include talking to people like they're dust?" His voice remained controlled, but every syllable felt like a verdict. The guard stepped forward. "Sir, please don't create a scene." Hussein didn't look at him. "A scene is loud," he said. "We're just asking for decency." For a moment, no one said anything. It was the kind of pause that reveals character. Who stands firm, who hides, who softens, and who breaks. One of the bikers, a young man named Raza, placed a hand on Arif's shoulder. "We're here now. Let's handle it." The receptionist folded her arms. "And who's paying his bills?" "You," Hussein nodded once. "Yes." The word hung in the air like a stone dropped into still water. The staff exchanged glances. A nurse whispered to another. The guard stepped back, and slowly, the receptionist's confidence began to crumble. She tried to regain control. "Even if you pay, we have a waiting list. And emergency slots are limited." "Check again," Hussein replied calmly. Properly this time. There was no threat in his voice, just a clarity that left no room for disrespect. The receptionist hesitated, clicked a few keys, and cleared her throat. "There seems to be one slot. A cancellation." Of course there was. There had always been. Sometimes access is not denied by rules, but by attitude. Arif watched silently, stunned. He had never asked for rescue. He had never imagined strangers stepping forward when familiar faces had stepped back. When she finally printed the admission slip, Hussein took it and handed it to Arif. "Let's get you inside," he said. But Arif didn't move. He folded the slip carefully, eyes shining, and whispered, Why would you help me? You don't even know me." Hussein looked at him, expression steady. "Because someday any of us could be standing where you are. And the world is only livable if someone shows up." The moral climax was quiet, a simple sentence spoken without heroism, without pride, the kind of truth that doesn't need music to feel powerful. The nurse led Arif toward the consultation room. Meanwhile, the biker stayed near the entrance, not for show, but to ensure his dignity remained intact until the very last step. As Arif disappeared down the hallway, the receptionist lowered her eyes. Her voice softened. "I didn't realize." Hussein finally looked at her. "You don't need to realize," he said gently. "You just need to care." The tension dissolved like dust settling after a storm. Even the clinic felt different, as if a window had been opened in a room that had forgotten what fresh air felt like. Outside, the bikers mounted their motorcycles again. No applause, no victory, just the quiet hum of engines rolling away, returning to the road they came from. And somewhere inside, Arif finally received the treatment he had almost been denied. Not because he begged, but because strangers had refused to let unfairness win. Sometimes the strongest people are the ones who act without noise, without cameras, without credit. And sometimes the smallest act of dignity becomes the turning point in someone else's life. In life, kindness is not measured by wealth or status. It is measured by the courage to stand beside someone when everyone else steps away. And in a world full of hard faces and hurried hearts, the gentlest actions are often the ones that echo the longest. If this story moved you, like, comment, and share your Kindness Valley thoughts below, and subscribe for more untold stories.